Hey guys, what's going on? It's your big dreamer and doer G Dinero coming to you today with another TA Tuesday. And before we jump in, remember, none of this is financial, legal, tax, or investment advice. This is your buddy G Dinero helping you increase your financial literacy to help set you and your family on that path to financial freedom. So with no further ado, let's jump right in. All right, first we're going to start with a zoomed out view of Bitcoin. And wow, what a week it's been. We had the Trump pump and dump all within about a 24-hour period. It was crazy. So on Sunday, the strategic crypto reserve was announced, not only including Bitcoin and Ethereum, but also others like Solana, Cardano, and XRP, right? So we saw a giant pump. You'll see that here. What I wanted to do is start with a zoomed out view and take a look at the bigger trend here. The bigger trend is captured by this channel that you see right here, this linear regression channel, right? That's the bigger trend that we're taking a look at here to begin with. And what you'll note is we are still trending well within this channel. We basically had dropped down to the midpoint of the channel. That's this green line that you see me tracing right along here. We dropped below the midpoint of this channel. That happened last Tuesday, right? So last Tuesday, we were looking like we were supporting on the midpoint of this channel. We dropped below it all the way down to the 200-day moving average and even wicked below that on Bitcoin. And you'll see that here as I zoom in. We did wick down to a low of $78,167, jumped right back up above the 200-day moving average, and all of a sudden threw down what was known as a God candle, meaning over 10,000 points in a single day that we went up, only to give it all back the very next day. Yesterday was a brutal day on the markets. Tariff wars are kind of looming ahead for people. People are nervous about that. Wall Street had a bad day. Equities had bad days. All of the cryptos had a bad day yesterday. Everything was down, and here we are. We find ourselves supporting right back on that 200-day moving average. We also are respecting this downward linear regression channel that we've been in ever since the 19th of January. So we set a new all-time high on Bitcoin on the 19th of January. We've been in this linear regression channel going downwards ever since. We did wick below it here with that giant dump last week, and you'll note that was when we went down to $78,000. We got back up to the top part of this linear regression channel and then sold off back down to the bottom again. So we're literally ping-ponging back and forth in this channel. This channel's probably about 7,000 to 8,000 points wide at its widest point, and we're just ping-ponging back and forth right now in that. We are supporting nicely on the 200-day moving average. We're right about at the mean on the mean reversion tool, kind of in the middle. RSI value is slightly below the mean at about 38 points. You'll note an uptick in the global liquidity, a little uptick in global liquidity right now. What are the support levels? This is a strong level of support right here, right around that 78,000. Some would say that we filled that CME gap that was there. CME gap is when the futures market basically gaps up over the weekend. Bitcoin has a run over the weekend, and the CME market just opens up. CME futures market opens up on the next available trading day, which would have been the next Monday afterwards. So that gap, a lot feel, has now filled. 78,000 is the bottom right now. What's the next levels that we have to break through on the way up? 89,200 is the next level of resistance. That was formerly support, as well as this 91,500 level, which I know says the floor, which was the floor on multiple occasions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times it was the floor until it finally broke down. I guess they say the 11th time is a charm. And now that is acting as some resistance on our way back up. So resistance levels on the way up. Think 89.2, 91.5, and then lastly, we have the 100 and 200-day moving averages literally right on top of each other at around $97,000. Next up is Solana. So Solana, I also took a zoomed out view. You'll note that the uptrend that we've been in ever since all the way back here at the bottom of the market, right? So the 2022 low was back here in December of 2022. We have been in an uptrend ever since, either in the bottom half of the linear regression channel or the top half. We made a couple of forays out of the channel. One was back here near the beginning of, let me move this so I can see the date, back here around March of 2024. And then as we moved to the right, we also jumped out in November of 24 and lastly in January of 25. Those are the 3 times we went out of the top of this linear regression channel. All 3 would have been perfect times to have sold the asset, and we've been able to get buying opportunities to buy back in. For the first time, we did drop below this long-term linear regression channel. We even dropped to the very bottom and wicked out of the very bottom of this short-term linear regression channel that we've been trading in ever since back on January 19th, right? So a lot of things happened on Inauguration Day. Everything pumped. You had Bitcoin pumping, Solana pumping. And since then, we've been trading in this short-term linear regression channel with a couple little dips out of it here at the end of, in the middle of last week. And then, of course, on Sunday, we had a pump out of the top of it and back down. We almost made it back up to the 200-day moving average. That's now starting to act as resistance. The other thing I wanted to show you was the significant amount of support down here at this 140 level. Take a look on the VRVP. This is the tool down the right-hand side. And what you'll see is a large block of volume right here, right around 143. That's why every time we drop below 143 recently, we've immediately regained that position. Again, 140 tends to be very strong support right now for Solana, all the way down to about 125, 126. That's our support zone, let's call it, 125 to 145. Great area for adding to a position if you believe that that's the bottom. Again, not financial advice, just from looking at what I see on the charts. Strong area of support down there. Let me turn off the VRVP for now. And you'll note that we also almost made it down to the 38% fib level, which is at 117 down here. So 117 is the next level of support down. But again, I see this 130 to 145 range, 130 to 145 range as a strong level of support. We also will now find a little bit of resistance here at this 50% fib level at the 150 level. And then the next level of resistance is right here at the 200-day moving average of 184, along with the 61.8 fib level of 185. So that 184, 185 level, which was strong support before, is now becoming resistance on the way back up. Again, what will it take to bust through that resistance? Some positive news. All right, taking a look at the Tesla, the Tesla. Everything's in a similar situation, right? We had a peak on Tesla back a little sooner on December the 18th and 19th versus January like it was for a lot of the cryptos. You'll notice that we did drop down to the 200-day moving average, which was right down here at around 280. Right around 280 is where the 200-day moving average is. We are finding support there, although we have recently just dropped below that 200-day moving average today. Looks like we're going to open below it, which, again, not a great sign. We are respecting this short-term linear regression channel. You'll note that we are now in the lower portion of it, testing the lower boundaries of that linear regression channel. Next level of support down is 250. That's the 38% Fibonacci level. We are mean reverted significantly to the downside, which typically has been great areas to buy in the past. RSI value is down near the bottom, down near 30, and MACD is also in a downward, had crossed over and is now back down again. We are seeing some buy signals on the chart, but the trend hasn't changed. The trend has not flipped yet. Also, take a look at the longer term linear regression channel. That's this light green line that you see kind of coming up at an angle right here, this light green line. Not the 50% fib level, but the other one that is right here, this line right here that I just drew a pink line above it. You'll note that that midpoint of the longer term linear regression channel, we found resistance right on it on the way back up. That was yesterday. We found resistance there. So what that's telling me is what was a stronger level of support in the past is now becoming a bit of resistance. You'll notice that we resisted against it back here in July of last year, September of last year, and October of last year before finally breaking above it in November. This is the first time we've been back below it and retested it where we stayed below this midline of a longer term channel. What does that tell you? We're going to have a little bit of a battle trying to battle our way back up above this light green line that you see right here. We do need to break back above the 50% fib level, which is at 295, get back above the 200-day moving average, which is at around 279, 280. And then the next level of resistance that we're going to see is that 340 level. That's that 61.8 Fibonacci level. That has been a strong area of both resistance and support, right around that 340 to 360 range. You notice how it was resistance before. We supported on the 340. We broke below 340, regained it, made it up as high as 360, back onto 340, and then dropped below. So on the way back up, that will be some of our resistance. Lastly, we're going to talk about MicroStrategy. Similar situation. We did break above on November 21st, set a new all-time high of around 550, 548 to be exact on MicroStrategy. That was also when the NAV premium was at around 4. Right now, the NAV premium's at about 1.5, 1.6, meaning that's the premium assigned to the Bitcoin that's on their balance sheet, essentially. If you were to take out the enterprise value of the company, you're trading at about a 1.6 premium to the Bitcoin on the balance sheet. What does all that mean in English? Well, again, here we made it up to the midpoint of the longer term linear regression channel. That's this green line right here. And sure enough, we resisted and bounced back off of it yesterday on Monday, right? We had a nice pump right off of the 200-day moving average. You notice that we bounced very nicely right here, made it back up to the midpoint of both of the channels, both the shorter term linear regression channel, that's the light green line going downwards to the right, the longer term linear regression channel going upwards to the right, and right there we found resistance. You can't make this up. Just happened to be just above the 50% fib level, also right around 280. So 280 to 300 right now is significant resistance. On the way back up, next set of resistance would be the 100-day moving average at around 317, the 50-day moving average at around 330. What is the levels of support? Well, looking like we're supporting very nicely on this 200-day moving average. Again, 200-day moving average, this yellow line right here, that's at around 233. Next level of support down would be this 217, 218, 38% fib level. And again, basically giving back all of the gains that we had gotten since the election was held in the United States. You'll also note how mean reverted we made it to the downside, significantly mean reverted. The last time we were that mean reverted to the downside was September 9th, and look what happened after that. We went on a tear from around 125 all the way up to 550. This time we were also mean reverted more than 2 standard deviations to the downside. Will that lead to a similar type pump? First things first, we need to regain the 50% fib level. We need to make it through the midpoint of both of these channels. We need to go back up to the 61.8 fib level, which is at 344. Kind of ironic that Tesla's at 340 and MicroStrategy's at 344. Both of those are strong levels of resistance on the way back up. Last but not least, what do I have this small graph for on the right-hand side? That is a net volume indicator at the very bottom there. It shows when we believe that Michael Saylor is selling ATM at the money shares, selling shares in order to buy more Bitcoin. It looks like yesterday he sold a boatload of shares. That was one of the largest net negative days that we've had in the last several weeks. So I believe that with the news that came out over the weekend on Sunday and the pump that we saw on Bitcoin, Michael Saylor saw that as his opportunity. When MicroStrategy gapped up in the morning and opened at almost 295 to 300, he sold a bunch of shares right then at the money. It drove the share price down before Bitcoin and Solana and everything else tanked anyways over the course of the day. he got out a bunch of money that can be now used to buy Bitcoin now that it's pulled back down another $7,000-8,000 from where it had hit the other day. So again, there's a lot of gamesmanship here, a lot of game theory that's on, but I do believe that we saw some net selling yesterday. Today, I'm not seeing anything yet, but typically shows up after the open, which will be in about 25 minutes. Alrighty, there you have it, guys. I know it was a little bit longer today than usual, but I wanted to give you both the longer term and the shorter term trends that are going on. In the short term, definitely not looking very favorable right now. We've seen that most of our favorite assets are slipping when compared to their all-time highs that they set over the last several months. In the longer term, though, the longer term uptrend is still intact. What we're waiting on right now is that injection of global liquidity, or a rate cut, or some clarity over these tariffs that are going into effect today, or even last but not least, some clarity around the strategic crypto reserve, as it's now being called. Hopefully it'll have more Bitcoin in it than anything else. And again, we should get some more clarity on that on Friday. So stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you book a course with me. If you want to learn technical analysis like this or TradingView, make sure you book a course with me. I teach an entire over 6 hours of instruction on TradingView technical analysis, free indicators, paid indicators. I also teach a course on understanding options. At a minimum, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. Like this video, comment below. Tell me what you like best. Tell me what I could do better. And subscribe to the channel so that you see more videos like this. And last but not least, remember, here's to you increasing your financial literacy so that you can set you and your family on that path to financial freedom. This is G Dinero signing out. Have a wonderful week, guys. Take care.